it's a very good afternoon to you. My name is Alex Nyman. You're listening to Arrow FM 92.7, and this is Jazz Club. That's a cracking way to start the show off, isn't it? That was Tal Wickenfeld, and she's, if you don't know who Tal Wickenfeld is, she's a wonderful, very gifted younger bass player. I saw her on a video a wee while ago on YouTube, and she was playing there with Herbie Hancock and a number of other guys. I think Vinnie Colaiuta and quite a selection of really top-notch players. And I think she must have been about 14 or 15, and she held her own. Absolutely, she was amazing, and obviously she still is. That's from her album called Transformation, and that particular track is called Oatmeal Bandage. And really love her playing. She's a fantastic bass player. Anyway, I'd like to carry on now. I've got some really lovely music lined up for you this afternoon, as usual. Got some stuff here from Niels Landgren. I'm going to be playing him next. Keith Jarrett, Esperanza Spalding, Joe Presenter, Jacob Collier, Jason Rebello, Nelson Rangel. Look, heaps and heaps and heaps of music, and I hope you're going to stick with me for the next hour and 50 minutes. Yeah, it's about an hour and 40 minutes now, because we're 10 minutes into the program already. So I hope you're having a great afternoon, and hope you're going to, as I say, stick with me for some absolutely wonderful music. Now, this next guy, Niels Landgren, is actually a trombonist. And again, he's one of those guys that I first heard of through YouTube, believe it or not. And he was there playing with Michael Brecker and a few other guys. And he started singing a particular tune. I think it was, was it Nature Boy? Yeah, it might have been Nature Boy. Anyway, he was singing. He was fantastic. And I thought, wow, that guy's such a great vocalist. I'd love to hear some more stuff by him. And I checked him out. And here's another track that he's recorded. And this is a take on a track called Don't Let Me Be Lonely Tonight.
Do me wrong, do me right, tell me lies, but hold me tight. Save your goodbyes for the morning light, but don't let me be lonely tonight. Say goodbye and say hello. Sure enough, good to see you, but it's time to go. Don't say yes, but please don't say no. I don't want to be lonely tonight. Go away, then damn you. Go on and do as you please. You ain't gonna see me on my knees. I'm undecided, and your heart's been divided. You've been turning my world upside down. Do me wrong, do me right. Go on and tell me lies, but hold me tight. Save your goodbyes for the morning light, but don't let me be lonely tonight. my world upside down. Do me wrong, do me right. Go on and tell me lies, but hold me tight. Save your goodbyes for the morning light, but don't let me be lonely tonight. I don't want to be lonely tonight. I don't want to be lonely tonight.
Nelson Rangel there, the master of the single, double and triple tonguey on the flute. What an incredible player he is. And actually, do you know what? It's funny because, I mean, I didn't just play that track by chance, just happened to have a flute player on it. Of course, I knew there was a flute player on it because Nelson happens to be one of my very favourite flute players. But I also played the flute myself, and I've been playing for about 40 odd years now. So I was Michael, actually, our illustrious boss here at Arrow FM, came in the other day and he said, Alex, he said, you were talking about something on the other day about flute playing, something, I don't know, triple tonguey or triple flatter tonguey or whatever it was. He said, I wonder there might be some people out there in the in the listening public that might actually be interested in how you do that sort of stuff. I mean, I obviously as a flute player, I take it for granted that these things happen and these are the things that we do. But I have noticed actually when I've been teaching that when I talk to my students about things such as flatter tonguing and triple tonguing and double tonguing, is that there are those pupils that can do that stuff sort of naturally or an instinctive kind of thing, and those that just really can't get it at all. And I was talking to one of them the other day, it was a while back, it wasn't just the other day, Frank Talbot, who happens to be a rather super saxophone player, and he's going to be a voice to reckon with on the saxophone scene in the years to come. And Frank was chatting with me about flute because I insist that all of my students at the New Zealand School of Music actually learn flute and clarinet as well. And we were talking about flatter tonguing, and I said, well, this is kind of like, that's how you do it. You have to go sort of stick your tongue behind your teeth and go and blow at the same time. Well, the blowing was okay, but it wasn't happening at all. He really just couldn't. we spent nearly an hour and a half with Frank going, no, it's just not working. Okay, all right. So we had a bit of a laugh about that, and but boy, he really did try. He tried for ages and ages and ages, but he still couldn't get it. But fortunately, or unfortunately, he wasn't the only one that had problems with that. And because I'm a self-taught flute player, I'm a self-taught musician through and through, right from the very beginning. And I guess as a self-taught person, you're not. I don't know. You just do what comes. If it comes naturally at all, then it comes naturally. And I remember one day I had a student came in. This was back when we were teaching at Massey before the school moved over to Victoria. And this girl came in and she wanted to like have a flute lesson or just learn a little bit about jazz flute as such. And I was in my office and sort of giving her sort of a rundown on sort of techniques and bits and pieces. And at one point she said, "I can't believe that you're doing that." I said, "What?" She said, "Well, you're treble tonguing, you're singing, and you're circular breathing at the same time." I said, "Well, well, nobody's ever told me that I can't do that. So it's not like I've learned to do it through somebody teaching me. It's just something that you kind of." And I think a lot of those techniques that you learn through your own sort of volition, as it were, are often sort of better developed than those that you have to have somebody say, "Look, this is what you need to do that." In effect, So, in light of all of that I've just been saying, next week I'm going to bring in my flute family. Yes, my whole flute family. I don't have the complete range of flutes, unfortunately, so I don't have access to $200,000 to actually buy the rest of the flute family that unfortunately I don't have, which are the big ones down there, the low ones. But I've got piccolo, I've got a concert flute, I've got a alto flute and alto flute, and I also have a bass flute. And if you're wondering, do they go any lower than that? Oh boy, yes they do. I played one in Shanghai at the Trade Festival last year, which was was it contra alto? I think it was actually. It was a contra alto flute, which is sort of like about a fourth below bass actually, but fourth below the bass flute. And that was pretty epic. Actually, just trying to get a note out of that one, it sort of goes you play it standing up, and it looks a bit like a P. You're playing a P from the back, as it were, because the tube goes up, then comes down to the left, then comes along at the bottom, and that bit at the bottom provides you with the bit that you blow into, as it were, the straight bit. So that was that one, contralto. There's the contrabass, which is a full octave below bass flute, which is epic in its own way. And then there's the subcontrabass flute. And I've seen one guy playing this, is a Swiss guy, and it really is a room-sized filling flute. It's absolutely unbelievably big. I think it stands at least about 2.5 to 3 meters tall. And again, it has this sort of weird configuration going up and down and around and across, and looks like something that would have come out of one of the Alien films, if you will. And are they expensive? Yes, they are. If you can get a note out of one, you might sort of consider buying one. But I think they sort of retail, subcontrabass would be sort of somewhere between $30,000 to $40,000. Fortunately, not all of them are made out of metal, because one guy realised at the end of the day that all they are is just great big tubes. So he rather cleverly got hold of some plumbing tubes, as it were, the sort of stuff basically you have on the outside of your house. I think he might have painted them black just to make them look pretty, but he basically fabricated a contrabass flute out of subcontrabass flute out of plumbing pipework, which actually sounded pretty good. And at the end of the day, that's really all it is. It's a whopping great big tube. And again, like those low instruments, and I've mentioned these in the past with the subcontrabass saxophones and clarinets and things, that effectively as a musical instrument, I mean, they really do have a very niche market. And that's why, even if I had the money, I'm not sure that I really want to buy one, because I just don't know where I'd use it other than my own, for my own listening pleasure, if you can call something that goes... That'll be like one of the highest notes. I just don't, because I don't see a lot of fun in that personally. But hey, each to their own. So anyway, next week I'm going to be bringing in my flute family. I shall play them all for you. Now, if you've got any questions, if there's anybody out there that might say, you might be thinking, do you know what? I've been wondering about this such and such on flute, or how do you play it? How do you blow it? All these other bits and pieces. Because there's quite a number of techniques that are very useful to know if you're thinking about maybe picking up flute. I don't know, maybe your children want to buy one for Christmas, and you're wondering, I'm not sure. Maybe we need some information about it first. If you want to write to me, you can, of course, which is arrowfmjazzclub@gmail.com, arrowfmjazzclub@gmail.com. You can write to me before next week and send me a question or two, and just let me know. Otherwise, I will give a fairly sort of rigorous rundown on playing the flute, and at least the flute members of the family that I have. As I say, they do me okay, and I'm very happy to play them, and I'm always enjoy playing them, and I do quite a bit of recording on them at home and professionally outside, with other projects. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that flute track by Nelson Rangel. As I said, the master of the single, double and triple tongue in, and I'll be explaining that and demonstrating some of that too. Right, now I'm going to move on from the flute family, because we're going to be talking a lot about that next week. It's going to be a flute special. I shall have all sorts of amazing flute players playing, and but let's carry on this week. And this is a track featuring, as you probably know, one of my favourite piano players, Keith Jarrett, and this is one of my other favourite saxophone players called Jan Garbarek.
just leave a little for the dark nights. Something true. I'm lost, lost without your love. Just the night that once hung over me away. Beacon in my sky, from across the wood you beckon me. Like the moon I'll be and watch your fading ray. Oh, love, by some divine hand, your path has crossed mine. As we travel along, my world changed from the moment you came, 'cause you brought the dawn. Now I'm caught in this shadowy life. If you stay, I could shine. So much darkness in my life that any fading star that fell my way will win my heart with hopes that we could make a brighter situation. The sky, but I can't leave my world, the life I've always known. And if I follow, would I belong in a world like your own? From now on, at least I'll always reflect the lines you have shown.
Speranza Spalding, their bass player. Absolutely fantastic bass player, and as you can hear, she's also a pretty amazing vocalist too. And I think she was one of those guests that were chosen to perform in front of the President of the United States, along with a very select few, as you can imagine. I think so. I've seen Stevie Wonder doing it, did a Burt Bacharach special. Yeah. Anyway, I guess it's quite an accolade when you get called up to do that. Anyway, she was one of them, and she's amazing, and I really love that. And before that, you heard Keith Jarrett there with Jan Gabarek, Norwegian saxophone player, very individual player, kind of kicked off a whole generation of a label called the ECM label, which had particular kind of an atmospheric kind of sound that they managed to get out of their recording situations. Manfred Eicher is the guy who owns and runs the company, and they've been extremely influential for the best part of 50 years or so. Quite incredible, really. And anyway, yes, so... Anyway, what was I talking about? Yes, so the flute thing. So, as I say, I do hope that you're going to be able to join me next week for a little sort of fluty kind of special. I'll do my best to explain stuff, and if you've got any questions, I don't know, write if you can. That would be cool. As I said, the arrowfmjazzclub@gmail.com is a good way to get in touch with me, or you can just ring your questions through to Michael. Just say, "Hey, Michael, how do you do triple tonguing, or how do you do that funny thing that Alice was talking about, flooded tonguing?" And Michael can give you a demonstration himself, or at least try. But let's just hope if he does the flooded tonguing, maybe his false teeth might fly out. But we'll see. I don't think he's got false teeth. He's extremely healthy man, and I think his dental regime probably wouldn't allow for false teeth. It's certainly not necessary. I think if I had them, I certainly would be able to do it. That's for sure. Anyway, look funny if I did though. Let's carry on now. I've got an old trumpet playing friend of mine. In fact, I say trumpet, it's more a flugelhorn player, but his name is Gerard Presenza. First played with Gerard, and I've got to think back now. It's been about 1980. It's that long ago. My goodness, gosh, doesn't time fly? Nearly 40 years ago, I first played with Gerard. He's now the professor of trumpet and jazz at, I think he teaches over in Berlin. And I mean, obviously, sort of in between Berlin and everywhere else in the world, but that's one of his jobs. He's an amazing trumpet player. He's a very, very lovely guy, and played with this was with the National Youth Jazz Orchestra when I was playing in the UK, and Gerard was there at the time, along with many other fine trumpet players, Martin Shaw, and who else? Oh God! Anyway, Martin Shaw was another one of those really good, really great players who again is sort of actually really, really well known nowadays. So Gerard's this is from one of Gerard's albums, and I'm going to follow it up with another track after that. But first of all, let's hear "Chasing Reality" Part 2 with Gerard Presenza.
won't let the bad moments change my mind. I'm freeing my dreams from deep inside. I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm just trying to use what I got. And over time, you'll see that I may get a little bit weak, but it don't mean that I still don't have a dream. So I say, reach up and touch the sky and fly high. Jump up and kiss the sun. You've already won. Just look up and don't look back. You're on the right track. Wake up and free your dreams into reality. I'm taking each moment as if it's my last. Don't wanna rush my lessons, though. I'm embracing my future, learning from my past. I'm counting all my blessings. I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm just trying to use what I got. Over time, you'll see that I may get a little bit weak, but it don't mean that I still don't have a dream, yeah. So I say, reach up and touch the sky and fly high. Jump up and kiss the sun. You've already won. Just look up and don't look back. You're on the right track. Yeah. Wake up and free your dreams into reality. I'ma say it one more time. Reach up and touch the sky. Fly high. Jump up and kiss the sun. You've already won. Look up and don't look back. You're on the right track. Wake up and free your dreams into reality. Free your dreams. Free your dreams. Open up your heart and free your dreams. Open up your heart and so I said, reach up and touch the sky and fly high, yeah. Jump up and kiss the sun. You've already won. Look up and don't look back. You're on the right track. Wake up, free your dreams, free your dreams. So I said, reach up and touch the sky, fly high. Jump up and kiss the sun. You've already won. Look up and don't look back. You're on the right track. Wait, free your dreams, free your
That was the very wonderful Chante Can Journey, no, Free Your Dreams, from the album called Journey to Golden. And before that, you heard Gerard Presents. That's right. Keep on. If you're looking on the TV at the moment, you'll notice I keep itching my nose. It's as if something's sort of just dribbling down, and sort of not dribbling down my nose, but dribbling. It's not sort of not dribbling in. It's more kind of fluttering around my nose and itching my nose terribly on the outside. So My apologies. I'll try to stop. I'll try to stop itching it if I can. But it's kind of like when. That's better. Okay, get that out of the way. Right. Okay. So, and before that, you heard Gerard Presenter, and that track was called "Chasing Reality Part 2," and before that came Part 1. And after that came Part 3. And anyway, it's quite a number of tracks on that album, and all part of this, that, and the other. Let's carry on. And here's another one of my very, very favourite vocalists. This guy first came to the attention of the world via YouTube. He was a YouTube sensation. I think he must have been about sort of 13 at the time when he first got onto YouTube, and he did these sort of 6-part harmony things where the screen was split into 6 parts, and he was singing each particular part sort of with a slightly different look. Frizzy here in one and straight in the other, and a different colour shirt, all that sort of stuff. But it wasn't just so. It wasn't the look as much as the quality of the vocals, which were just absolutely mind blowing. And he came to the attention of Quincy Jones, and basically the whole world within probably about I'd say less than 6 or 7 months, he was sort of performing all over the world, and rightfully so. Now the only thing is that the actual sort of, for me at least, the way that he works is so incredibly specialised, in as much that his sense of tuning, his pitch, is ultra perfect. So he can sort of knows the difference between a tempered third on the piano and a natural third, and can sing the difference. That sort of perfect pitch where it would be very frightening to actually sort of sit next to him and play anything, simply because he'd probably go, "Oh my God, that's so out of tune," or whatever. So anyway, he would be probably one of the most amazing vocalists I think I've ever heard in my life. But when he does a sort of a live performance, then of course he has to sort of like loop a lot of stuff, or it's not quite so intricate in the same way that he does with it. It's still amazing because he performs live on virtually anything and everything. And he can develop the most incredibly complex tunes. But I still really quite like the idea of him just playing just the 6-part harmony vocal thing, and sometimes he plays backing tracks along with it as well. He does like the drums and bass and guitar and everything else, and they're always generally in sort of some really kind of just slightly odd time signature. Talking of which, here's one of them, and this is his version of the Carpenters song called "Close to You," and see if you can spot the difference between this and the original. Jacob Collier.
Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they long to be close to you, you. Why do stars come falling from the sky every time you walk by? Just like me, they long to be close to you. On the day that you were born, the angels got together and decided to true. So a sprinkled moonlust in your hair, a golden starlight in your eyes of blue. That is why all the boys in town follow you all around. Yeah, just like me, they long to be close to you. That is why all the boys in town follow you all around. Yeah, that's just like me. They long to be close to you, close to you. Close to you. Close to you.
Yes, anyway, that was Jean Toussaint, Jason Rebello, Ray Drummond there on the bass. Jean Toussaint, one of the kind of British saxophone players there, English saxophone players, I should say, that kind of made a name for himself in the 80s, 90s, and so on and so forth. And that was from an album called Impressions of Coltrane, for obvious reasons, I guess. And I think I heard Jean Toussaint back in, where it must have been Southend-on-Sea, believe it or not. I think it was a jazz club there that I heard him once. And I was watching him and I kind of realised that I might have been mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that he'd taken the octave key off his saxophone. For whatever reason, probably just to, you can play the high notes without the octave key, as it were. So, maybe it was something he was working on, presumably, at the time. Anyway, really, really nice player, for sure. And before that, as I said, that was Jason Rebello again, before that piano player, Jason Rebello, another English musician. And that also featured Jacob Collier on vocals. And before that, you heard the other track there from Jacob Collier, Close to You. Yes, so very different from the original, as I'm sure you're aware. And what an amazing player, amazing vocalist. He really is just quite simply astounding. If you ever get a chance, just check on YouTube, put Jacob Collier in and watch some of his masterclasses at Berkeley and things like that. I mean, the guy's not even 20 yet, and he knows more than most anybody else about everything musical, that's for sure. Pretty frightening. Okay. We're going to move on, and actually, now I'm on kind of the English thing. Let's carry on with the English thing. And this is featuring, I've got a couple of tracks here featuring more English musicians. One of them is the wonderful Stan Tracy, who's dead now. Keep on saying that, don't I? He's dead now, or she's dead now, but Stan's definitely dead now. And he was wonderful piano player in the sort of kind of Thelonious Monk style, I guess. And when I first heard him play in the 70s and 80s, he was very much into the free jazz thing, kind of reined that in a little bit and got back into the sort of more traditional kind of jazz playing. And after that, I've got a track by Guy Barker, who's one of the preeminent British English trumpet players. So a couple of tracks here coming up from those guys. First one is Mooncake, and after that it's called Sheldon the Cat, featuring Jim Mullen on guitar. But here, Stan Tracy Octet with Moon Cake. Parker there with Sheldon the Cat. Not literally Sheldon the Cat, that's the name of the tune, presumably named after his cat called Sheldon, I guess. Anyway, it was featuring Jamie Talbot there on tenor saxophone. Jim Mullen was on guitar somewhere in there, and sorry, I'm slightly out of breath. I've just had to move my car. We have a lot of parking spaces here at Arrow FM, and unfortunately for me, one of them was taken this morning when I got here, so I just had to wait for the people to move their car, and had to nip across the road, move mine, and put it in its place. So just slightly out of breath, but not too much. And before that, you heard the Stan Tracy Octet, and that was also featuring Guy Barker on trumpet. Let's see, what are we doing for time? Oh, I've got about another 15 minutes, and just in the meantime, I'm going to be playing one of my... I keep on saying one of my favourite saxophone players. I do happen to have an awful lot of favourite saxophone players, I must say. Not all of them ultra favourite. This guy's certainly up there with the very best of them, though. And this guy is called Joshua Redman. And this is a track called Boogie Tastic off his album called Elastic. And it's around about that time now when I've got to say goodbye to you all, unfortunately. And just to play out the show, I'm going to do a wonderful number from the Crusaders, and it's called "Keep That Same Old Feeling." I hope you're going to keep the same old feeling for me for next week. I'm going to be doing my flute special. I hope you're going to enjoy that with me. And in the meantime, it's a build up to Christmas. Get that Christmas shopping in if you haven't done it already. Have a wonderful week ahead, and I really look forward to having your company next week. So cheers for now. Bye-bye.
I'm fresh off of work and I'm at it again. Gonna hit the party spot with some of my friends. They meet me at the house about 8:45 with music in the background, wasting time. Tommy Nico on the front porch, flipping his wig, talking about how it's gonna be when we make it big. Houses in the hills, about 3 or 4, and a flossy new Maybach with phantom doors. Yeah, man, that's how it's gonna be. And in my backyard, I'ma have a money tree, a pool full of Jello, a fountain that squirts red Kool-Aid.